Hi everybody, welcome along to episode 84 of Percussion Discussion. As usual, I'm going to ask you to check out all of our social media. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course our world famous YouTube channel where you can hear and see all of the conversations. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, it really helps us. And this means that you won't miss any of the upcoming interviews, of which there are a lot. So we don't want you to miss those. If you prefer to listen on the go, then all of our conversations are available in podcast form. They're free to download from Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of your favorite podcast providers. So if that's your thing, then please download it and enjoy it. On to today's guest, a gentleman since 1984 has been the drummer for the incredible band Europe. He's an amazing drummer and a fabulous guy. And it gives me immense pleasure to welcome the lovely Mr. Ian Haugland.
Thank you, Matty. It's an honor to be here on the pod.
Well, it's I'm very grateful that you can do it, and it's a great pleasure for me to have you here. So, we're coming out of a very sort of strange 2 years. The pandemic's affected everybody, especially in the arts. It's really hit it hard. How have you managed to? Have you got through it okay? Have you kept yourself busy?
Yeah, I've been kind of busy. I work as a radio DJ as well at a classic rock radio station in Stockholm. So that has been kind of my daytime job. And then I've done some small sessions, and also, I have my drum kit in the rehearsal room. Yeah. So I've been going down there and just banging out my frustration from time to time. But it's been a very trying time, I would say. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So the classic rock DJ thing interests me. Something is it a big station that you're on? Is it? I mean, obviously, is it quite a size?
Yeah, it's pretty big. It's nationwide in Sweden, and you can listen on the internet. It's called rockklassiker.se. I think you can log on and listen to it.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I do the evening show between 6 and 10 every Monday through Friday. Yeah. I've been doing it for 22 years.
Wow.
And
is it pre-recorded, or is this something you do? Is it live?
Actually, my show is pre-recorded.
Okay.
The morning show and the afternoon show are all live, but I'm doing the pre-recorded, which is great because that means that I can go down to the radio station, maybe one night a week and do the whole week and have the rest of the week off.
Yeah, or go on tour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right.
And something like that. Do you get a free rein on what you can play, or are you kind of told what you can?
It's the playlist is it's pre-made. So I just get the slots where I'm supposed to say something,
Yeah.
And so it's pretty much arranged.
Yeah.
But I do have 2 or 3 places where I can improvise and do my own thing. So that's nice. It's as I told the boss the other day, through all these 22 years, it's never felt like I've gone to work one day. It's just an extension of my own deprived personality. It's same music that I'm listening to at home. So.
Well, yeah, it's just like sitting at home and putting your favorite albums on, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. And just talking. I'm talking to my friend out there. I don't know them. I don't see them, but they're there, and it kind of it suits my personality. I'm kind of a madman, so I'm talking to myself there and listening to my favorite songs. It's great.
I don't think it gets any better than that, really. That's perfect. And
no.
What a great, something that's kept you busy and kept you going and occupied through the pandemic. It's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've been blessed. I got so many friends, musician friends, that have been, on their knees throughout these trying times. But yeah, it's getting better now.
It is.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So look, if you don't mind, let's go back to the beginning for you, where you kind of like first memories of music, where it kind of caught fire for you.
Yeah, I kind of, I think it was my older sister. This must have been back in, I, I was probably around 4 or 5 years old, and she had one of those plastic vinyl players with a speaker in the lid. You know, you just fold it up and you put on a 45 single. And she had some singles with the Beatles and some Stones. And I remember I have a memory of singing along to the Beatles, "She Loves You." And you know, back then, what I heard they were singing was "Shulachu, Shulachu," yeah, yeah. So that's what I was running around at home screaming and singing. So I think, yeah, it was my sister that introduced me to the first, you know, the connection to music.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what band it was, and I was too young to have any idols or anything. But other than that, I have a strong memory of hearing Black Sabbath's "Paranoid" on radio in my parents' kitchen, and I remember something grabbing me there. You know, like, what is this? Something with that, you know, the power and the energy of that, whatever it was, guitars, drums, and I couldn't, you know, I couldn't pinpoint it, but it just grabbed me. And so I think that's where it started. And then my brother had a couple of friends that actually had the Paranoid album on a cassette tape in his car.
Yeah.
And one time I got to ride with him, and he was playing the whole album. And that's the first time I realized that, you know, there was more to this power, and it was the same band, and it was like these four guys created something magic, and it was like, you know, one of those moments where I just like, oh wow, okay, so that's how it works, you know. And then from that I just started out of curiosity just exploring, and went to the local record shop. We had a little record shop in my hometown, and that's where I found Nazareth's "Hair of the Dog."
Yeah.
And Sweet Funny Adams. Sweet Funny Adams was the first vinyl album that I bought.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, for my own you know, weekly allowance savings. Yeah. So that's how it started.
Would you cite Bill Ward as an influence then, maybe?
Yeah. Well, funny that you're saying that, because it's at the time, not really.
Okay.
When I was, you know, when I got into playing myself and started listening more, you know, like actively on music, with a certain amount of understanding, I thought Bill Ward was kind of sloppy compared to the drummers that I was inspired by, Ian Pace and John Bonham and Cozy Powell.
Yeah.
That were more like accurate in a way. So Bill Ward was not a big influence at the time, but lately, actually just a couple of weeks ago, I was listening back to one of the Sabbath albums, and I realized that he, in a way, plays has the same kind of thinking as me. He's playing along with the songs, and he's a very melodic kind of drumming, I would say. Yeah. Not sloppy, but
no,
I mean,
he's like a big picture guy, isn't he? Kind of thing. Very almost a jazzy style. I mean, I love Bill's drumming personally, but you know, a good fit for Black Sabbath. It kind of works, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Sabbath without Bill Ward is not like Sabbath. I mean, I love Heaven and Hell, and especially Mob Rules with Vinny Appice on drums.
Yeah,
but it's not the same thing, you know.
No, absolutely not. So I'm guessing once you've got into this, how long before the love of drums happened, Ian?
I remember hearing. Well, I got into Deep Purple after a while, and I really loved Deep Purple as a band. And Ian Pace was a great drummer, and he was, you know, really impressing me and inspiring. But I would say the first time that I really realized that this is what I want to do. That's when I heard Rainbow Rising.
Yeah.
And the you know, the intro fill to Stargazer, and actually the intro fill to Tarot Woman, already there. It was, I mean, the sound, the sheer power of it. It was like a horse just kicking you straight in the balls, you know. Couldn't miss it.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, that was something else. It was, I mean, it was so in your face. So that's when I started, you know, like picking out my mom's old pots and pans and trying to, you know, do whatever, just to try and see what it was, how to do, you know, what a drum would be or whatever. That was actually when I got caught up and realized that I want to be playing drums.
Yeah.
And so I went. The first time I heard the album was at a with a schoolmate. He had the album. I didn't have it at the beginning. So I then went and bought it, and I listened through it. You know, every second of my time that I had, from as soon as I woke up and as soon as I got back from school, and it went on all day long. And all of a sudden, my schoolmate's mother, she saw an ad in the newspaper that Rainbow were going to come and play in Stockholm at the concert house. So she actually set up the so me and my schoolmate could go and see the show together with her, which was a little bit uncool, but then again, we were 12 years old, so we had to buy in on that. But so that was my first live experience. Rainbow with Cozy Powell, Ronnie James Dio, Jimmy Bain, and Tony Carey under the rainbow, you know, with a huge, with millions of lights in it. And this was September 25th, 1976, at the Stockholm Concert House. And I mean, it was just a confirmation of that horse kick that I got in the balls just half a year earlier. You know, it's like, okay, wow, I met God. You know, it was a religious experience to go to that show. So after that, that's when I, you know, really understood that this is what I want to do.
Yeah, amazing. So I'm guessing it was kind of pestering and, you know, beg, borrow, steal a drum kit from then on, however, whatever means.
Well, yeah, well, I have to say my parents were always very supportive, and especially my father, you know, I asked and begged for this drum kit, and there was a small music dealer in my hometown, and he had a secondhand old Pearl by Maxwin by Pearl.
Oh yeah,
that was the name of the like a burgundy red lousy drum kit, but still it was a bass drum, it was a snare drum and a rack tom and a cymbal and a hi-hat, and I got that for as a Christmas gift in 1977. And well, my parents were really supportive up to the point that they, you know, started hearing me banging away on the kit, because we were living in the house, and I had my room upstairs, and my mother, she was like chewing her nails and, you know, checking into the mental hospital every other day. You know, no, it wasn't that bad, but yeah. So they were really supportive, and actually gave me a lot of slack to do whatever I wanted to do. And yeah.
But were they fans of music anyway?
Not really. No. That's a funny thing. People are asking me, where did you get your musicality from? And I would say it's I don't know really. It's just it found me, I guess. I was just a receiver. I was just sitting around it. My father, he played a little guitar when he had a couple of drinks. He didn't play all too well, but actually he built an acoustic guitar for my older sister.
Right.
And but my mother, she was more like into, you know, the dance hall music and whatever she could see on TV and hear on radio. So that was the musical inspiration. It just came to me, sort of. I was kind of open-minded about it, and yeah, it came.
Oh, that's good. So how soon did the first band happen then, Ian?
Oh, the thing was, the first band, we had it formed before actually I got my first my drum kit.
Well organized.
Yeah. yeah, because the day after the rainbow show at school, I was just screaming. I was in seventh heaven, screaming at everyone at school. Like, oh, I went to this concert, and then this is what I wanted to do. I was, baptized.
Yeah.
So in any way, I found a couple of guys at school, and they wanted to form a band with me. So that's what we did. I had an old piano at home that was not exactly mint condition, but it was a musical instrument.
Yeah.
And then the other guy, he bought a small mini organ or whatever it was. And so we just put this band together and started, having, I remember it was a beautiful feeling because it gave us an identity.
Yeah.
We were a pack. We were, these four guys or whatever we were, and we had this thing together, and we were untouchable in that sense, So that's the first band. I think it was called Toxic or something, which is probably was, judging by my mother's reactions on her musical.
Oh, can you remember the first song you played as a band? Was it a cover?
Yeah. No, it wasn't a cover. It was, the first song was called Made in Hong Kong.
Okay.
And it was, it was the keyboard, the guy with the organ, he wrote that lyric, and it was about a guy that realizes that everything in this world is made in Hong Kong. And at one point he's, making out with his girlfriend, and he realized that he has a stamp in her neck where it says "Made in Hong Kong." It's serious stuff.
Yeah,
considering our age. So "Made in Hong Kong," by Toxic. You should go and get it. It's great.
There we go. I'll keep an eye. Is it on Spotify?
Yeah.
So, how soon before you're out gigging and doing, I don't know what the circuit was in your hometown, if there was a circuit or a scene, I don't know. I mean, paint the picture for us.
Well, yeah, this was, I would say 1979. I had a couple of bands in between, and I was at the time with a band called Rocking Rodgers. Yeah. Rocking Rodgers and the Rockers.
All right, okay.
A lot of R's. Yeah. And we played a lot of like boogie rock, like Status Quo kind of stuff. Yeah, and we did a couple of covers, Sex Pistols, God Save the Queen. I remember we played that. And the first show we did was at a friend's birthday party. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we set up all the stuff in the living room, obviously, and just blasted out God Save the Queen. And the party was great for 10 minutes, and then the police came, just shut us down. The neighbors had been complaining about the loud volume and the vomiting teenagers in the garden. So it was, but that was the first show, and this was in 78 or 79. Yeah. And then I remember the first proper gig. Well, it was a proper gig in the sense it was a stage, and it was like an audience sitting it was like one of those last day at school, and the teachers were giving away the grades and all that, and we had a slot in this. It was like a theater at school, so we had set up all the stuff, and we were going all in because we had been to there's an outdoor fun fair in Stockholm called Gröna Lund, where a lot of different bands came to play, and Kiss had been there in 1976. Yeah. This was before Destroyer, so they brought the show to this outdoor stage, with the flashes and all the fire stuff going on stage. So we thought, well, if Kiss can do that, we need to do something as well. So I happened to find a firm in Stockholm that was selling like theater, not bombs, but like flares, flashes. Yeah. So I went there, and I bought a bag of those. It was like they looked like small, like cone-shaped things, and they were supposed to you put them in like in a jar, and then you connect a 9-volt battery and it blasts, and it's kind of cool. And we tried those out in the rehearsal room, and we thought, nah, this is not powerful enough. This is wimpy. So the bass player in the band, he was kind of into techniques and electronics, and he said, well, why don't we take 5 of those and we just open them up and pour the whatever stuff in the same jar, and so it would probably become a more effective blast of that. And that's what we did. But we didn't try it out before. We just went for it at this show in this at the end of the school day there. So we charged 2 jars of those bombs, and the first song goes off, and just like on a certain cue, we had made like a switch, so we could blast or trigger them ourselves on stage. So that's what we did, and I think we played maybe 10 seconds, and then we just shot those bombs, and they were so powerful. It was like the people that were sitting there was like a safety range of, I think, 5 meters from the bombs. That's what they recommended. And the people sitting closest to them were like 2 meters away from the bombs. Okay. And so they blasted off, and it was so powerful. The emergency, the fire emergency, it went off. So what happened was the fire department arrived at the school like 5 minutes later, and after the blast, people were just running for the exit. They were scared to death. They thought that the house was on fire, and so did the fire department. So they came there, and we had to stop the show. We played maybe 30 seconds of the first song before we had to stop it. And
dear.
It was like, but we got a taste of the rock and roll, extravaganza, really.
Oh dear, I can just imagine. You weren't playing Firehouse by Kiss, were you, at the time?
No, we didn't. But it was kind of effective, I would say.
I take it there's no video evidence of this anywhere, sadly.
No, I don't think so. That was before videos.
Yeah. So look, let's fast forward a little bit. I'm assuming things are you're improving as a drummer, getting better and better. Were you always? Did you end up being double bass guy, sort of early 80s?
Yeah. Well, I think I started using double kicks in 81.
Yeah.
I think it was. That was my first, when I bought my first proper kit. It was a Yamaha 5000, I think it was called. Yeah. Again, I got a sponsor deal from my father. He helped me pay for it, and then I got a working at the local shop one summer, so I earned enough money to buy an extra bass drum and an extra floor tom.
Yeah. So
and then also my father, he was really savvy with he was a handyman. He could do it. So what we did, we made casts out of the toms, like took off all the lugs and everything, and made a cast around it. Mm-hmm. So we could mold new drums out of that.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I got like as many drums as Neil Peart, So thanks to my dad. I don't know if they probably sounded like shit, but I had 12 toms, Yeah. So that was early 80s, and I used it a lot in the beginning. Double kick drums. Yeah.
Now there's a quite a well documented fact about you auditioning, I should say, for Yngwie Malmsteen back in 82. Yeah. I can imagine that was interesting, because he's known to be I don't want to say interesting,
weird
character. Yeah.
Yeah. It was. This was a couple of years later, and my band had split up, and I was looking for a new gig,
Mm.
and I saw this. There was this music store in Stockholm that I used to go and just look at stuff, and just talk to people. And they had like a wall where you could put up your ads if you wanted to. You were looking for musicians and stuff.
Sure.
And so I found this ad. It was like handwritten and printed by, it looked like one of those papers you got at school that, like printed with a, printing machine
Yeah.
back in those days.
Photocopy.
Yeah, right. Photocopy kind of thing.
Mm.
And it was like a shitty picture of Yngwie and the bass player standing in the rehearsal room with smoke and stuff around them. So it looked kind of cool, but cheesy.
Yeah.
And it said neoclassic hard rock band inspired by Rainbow, Paganini, Bach, and Deep Purple, looking for a drummer. And I was like, yeah, that sounds really interesting. So I just picked one of the phone number, little things there.
Yeah.
So I went home and I called him, and yeah, he said, yeah, come over and let's try and play. And he asked me, did you play double kicks? Yeah, I play a double drums. Okay, cool. So I got there and we went down to their rehearsal room, which was small as a phone booth, basically. And this little phone booth was basically, it was filled with Marshall amps and cabinets.
Of course.
And yeah, and then they had this shitty little, even worse than my old Maxwell kit. But that's what I had to audition with, and so we just blasted through a couple of Purple songs, and but what struck me was that they were fighting constantly, and we could play like 10 seconds, and then Yngwie took his guitar and rammed it in the head of the bass player and screamed at him, turn down the volume, you're too loud, and the other way around. It was like a constant fight. And I was from the suburbs, and I was like kind of shy, and I was like, wow, this is scary. So at the end of the rehearsal, Yngwie told me, yeah, you're cool. So when are you going to bring your drums down so we can start rehearse for real? Have some serious rehearsal. And I kind of panicked. I felt like I can't do this. This is too violent for me. So I made up a story that, well, I don't think I can take the gig because I'm going to be working at the Undertaker's for this summer, so I won't have time to rehearse, whatever it was. And he got really pissed off, and just and that was that. I just went out of there, and but I think I think I hit a sore toe there. He was hurt. He was hurt when I turned down the gig. But then he went to the States, I think, the year after that, and became guitar player with the Steeler, was it, and then Alcatraz.
Yeah, Alcatraz.
So he did well. He did well, yeah.
But I think he had a lucky escape. I mean, I think Yngwie's had more drummers than Spinal Tap, I think, from looking back at the list over the years.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So obviously, I'm guessing a couple of years later, this brings us round to your band, Europe. I know you weren't the original drummer in the band, but how did that come about, Ian?
Well, this was back in 1982.
Sure.
There was a like a band contest thing that was happening in Sweden called Rock SM, like Swedish mastership of rocking. And it was like almost like a football tournament. It went from town to town, and in every city, 5 or 6 bands were competing, and one band went on to the next level, and stuff like that. So my band before the Yngwie Malmsteen incident, we were actually in that competition at the same sort of part competition together with Europe, or Force as they were called back then. So we were actually competing against fours the same night. And I mean, being left-handed as I am, we got to play the last at night because too much of a hustle to turn around the drum kit, you know, more than once. So we had to either play first or play last. So we decided to, okay, we go on last. And so the guys, the Europe guys, they were hanging around that to waiting for the result, since we were the last band. So that's how they got a chance to see me play. And I heard later on, they told me that it was thanks to that show that they memorized me, and you know, all right, that's a cool drum. So and then well, we got kicked out of the tournament, and they went to win the whole thing. And that the night of the grand night when Europe won the prize, it was broadcasted on TV.
Oh, it was a big deal.
And yeah, it was a big deal back then. So I was sitting there watching the final on TV, and not only that, but just a couple of weeks before that, I had fallen over drunk at a school party, and I broken my arm. So I was sitting there in a cast, watching my enemies winning this contest that we were, you know, kicked out of. So it was kind of, that was, you know, fucking bastards, you know. I wasn't happy about it at that point. And then they went on to record their first album, and they went on to record their second album, Wings of Tomorrow, that came in 1984. And during that time, I had been playing with different bands, and I even went to play with a synth rock band where I didn't actually play drums. I played synthesizer, singing, and dancing weirdly on stage.
Right.
I didn't even play a drum. Yeah. So I tried everything there, and actually I came to a point where I started thinking maybe I have to reconsider my rock and roll dream, and maybe I should grow up and, you know, get a proper job or something. And not long after that, maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, Europe's manager called me up and told me that they were looking for a new drummer, and would I be interested in audition for the band? Yeah, I was like, all of a sudden, somebody called from heaven and asked me if I wanted to go straight to paradise. You know, It was like, that was the shit in Sweden. The biggest rock band in Sweden at the time, and with a record contract already on the go. So absolutely, I said, I'm in if I can, you know, if I get the gig. So we had a meeting with the guys, and we decided on 4 or 5 songs from the first album and from Wings of Tomorrow. I basically went straight down to the rehearsal room where I had my drum kit, and I stayed there for a whole week. I was just breathing, eating, sleeping those 5 Europe songs for a whole week, and just listening to them, playing to them, and I was, you know, this was a chance of a lifetime for me. And then we went, we went and had this sort of the real audition in at their rehearsal place in Stockholm, and it was kind of scary in a way, but I knew the song, so I was kind of relaxed. I just felt that you know, I had a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
So we just went through the songs, and then I remember Joey said, "Well, okay, we need to go back in the back room and talk." The other guys in the band. So I was just sitting there behind my drums, and I was just like, wow, the most intimidating 20 minutes in my whole life, you know. Yeah, my ears were ringing and my heart was beating. What's going to happen here? And then you know, the manager came in and said, "Let's go out, talk in the office." And they said that, "Okay, you're in," and that was it. It was like, wow, amazing. I was in heaven, you know. I had just turned 20 years old, so I was old enough to go to the Systembolag in Sweden. That's where you can buy the spirits,
Okay.
like
Sure.
vodka and alcohol. Yeah, because you can't buy it anywhere else. So I was old enough to go there, and I went down to the local place, and I bought 3 bottles of the disgusting white wine called Tinave. It looked like piss. It tasted like piss, and I didn't try it, but if I would have tried to drink my own piss, I guess it would have tasted less like piss. That's how bad the wine was. But I needed to celebrate.
It did the trick, though.
yeah. So that's how I got in there, and then from then on, it was like 110% focus on the band.
Yeah,
and still is.
I mean, it must have been an amazing achievement, and I'm guessing your mum and dad were the first call to say, "Hey, look, I'm in."
Yeah, absolutely. They were really. I remember my mom said, "Well, just remember, you don't start drinking and all these drugs and evil women and everything. It can lead you to ruin. And I said, no, I doesn't matter. I'm going to go for this. This is this is my call. And they were always very supportive there too. I remember later on, people started coming, like fans from all over the world, because they could basically look my parents up in the phone book.
Yeah.
So people were coming from Italy and Germany and everywhere to my parents' house. And in the beginning, my mother was just like, "Oh, hello, come in, get you some coffee, and sandwiches." She was having like tons of fans in the garden, giving them coffee and stuff. So she was very sweet about it. But yeah.
I mean, who'd have thought? I mean, back in 1984, would you have thought then in 2022 you're still going to be doing this and still going strong?
No, definitely not. Yeah, it's really crazy when you think about it, because back then you were just you were really living in the now.
Yeah,
and obviously you saw a life beneath the ongoing tour or whatever it was, but you never thought like years and years ahead. Really, it was and thinking back at it, it's been well, actually, we're celebrating 40th anniversary next year, so there you go. It's crazy. It's crazy. But
hey. So obviously, you go into writing it'd be the 3rd album, won't it? The Final Countdown, I'm guessing. And
yeah.
Can you remember when you first heard that keyboard hook for the aforementioned song? Because it must have been. Wow, that's I remember the first time I heard it. And can you remember that the first time?
Yeah,
it was played.
Yeah. The thing with the keyboard intro and the the fanfare thing. It was initially it was written for a DJ in Stockholm.
Okay.
A guy that we knew, and he had like a DJ show, and he started at midnight at this club in Stockholm, and he wanted something like an intro that indicated that my show is happening now. He had some smoke machines and stuff going on, and so Joey made this intro on Mick McHale's synthesizer for this DJ, and that was basically the intro to the Final Countdown. So we were hanging out at this club and drinking beer every other night. Anyway, so I heard that intro many times before it became a song, and I think it was John Levin that actually suggested to Joe that, listen, this is too good to just be a fucking DJ intro. You should write a song on this. So I think it was John Levin who suggested the intro to become a song. And I also remember the very first time I heard the demo version of the song, and that was outside a recording studio in Stockholm in 1985. Joey was producing and writing songs for actually John Norum's little sister Tony Norum. Um, she never got famous outside Sweden, but anyway, she recorded. She got a record deal, and Joey was producing and writing songs for that album, and I was there helping out with the drums and just as a session guy, I guess. And we had a lunch break, and Joey said, because the thing was, Joey was writing songs, the Final Countdown songs during the tour in 1985.
Sure.
So so he had like a small demo studio in his room where he did the demos with the drum machine and like a Rockman as it was back in those days for the guitar, and he did all the singing and he played everything and made demos, and he brought them to the tour bus, and we went out in the weekends playing with Europe. So every weekend he came to the tour bus with a new song, and we were like putting in that and blasting it in the tour bus on the way to the gigs. And so a lot of songs came around during that tour, but the song "The Final Countdown" was the last. That was the last song that was finished. And during this lunch break at the recording studio, I went with Joe in his car, and he played me "The Final Countdown." And I remember the first feeling I got from hearing it was like, shit, this is something else. This is not typically Europe. It's not typically anything else at all. But it's pretty darn good. And it was I didn't really feel like it's that it was a hit song.
Really,
Rock the Night.
Oh, okay, interesting.
No, Rock the Night and Carrie felt like Danger on the Track. I remember felt like, oh wow, these are catchy songs. The Final Countdown was something else. It struck much deeper than that. It was more, this is something else. Something. It was immediate. The fanfare, but still, it was not immediate. It needed more to get into it.
Sure.
So that was my initial feeling, and the first time I heard it.
One of the most anthemic songs ever, really, I think. And in that song, for me, is one of the most iconic drum fills of the 80s. The drum fill before the guitar solo. I think if you take that out the song and just played it minus any melody or anything, I think I'd like to think most drummers over a certain age would go, yeah, that's from. There's two fills in the 80s. There's the fill. Mel Gaynor from Simple Minds at the "Don't You Forget About Me," the very rudimental fill at the end, and then there's that one from Final Countdown, which for me they're the most two iconic fills of the 80s. So there you go. So that's my.
Yeah, thank you, Matty. Well, the thing was, I remember we were rehearsing the Final Countdown together with the producer Kevin Elson in Stockholm prior to recording it, and we were searching for something to kick into the guitar solo, and someone suggested that why don't you just do some cool drum fill there? And I was like, yeah, well, what do you think I should do? I just go crazy, just go for it. So I didn't have a clear sort of picture of what I was going to do. That drum solo just happened at the spur of the moment in the recording studio. I would say I was rather lucky to get out on the one, because it was just, okay, let's, number one. Okay, I made it. So yeah, it's I don't think I could play that exactly the same fill again. I'm trying to do it live, but I'm doing something similar to it.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those spur of the moments.
It's hard to break down by hearing it what you're exactly doing. It sounds like there's double bass drums running underneath of it, but it's really hard to. It just sounds great. Whatever it is, it's great.
Yeah. I was really inspired by Coastal Powell and Phil Collins at the time, and and Neil Peart as well, of course. He was one of the drummers that I always sort of looked up to, but never really understood what he was doing. It was too intricate, but
Yeah.
it was a big inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But what a great
Yeah.
film and what a great album. And you know,
yeah, yeah. You know, speaking about it, you know, the very intro feel, that's totally stolen from In the Air Tonight. But with a swing feel to it.
yeah.
And also in Rock the Night, there is the same fill again, you know.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Rock now into the last chorus.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'd not realized until you said it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I'm kind of good at nicking stuff without anyone noticing.
Well, I have to say that the pre-solo fill, I don't think that's stolen from anywhere. That's all you. And do you remember, was that one take then? If you did that, Phil?
Yeah, well, see, the thing was, we when we recorded the basic tracks for the final countdown, we were in the studio in Switzerland, outside Zurich, and a very nice studio. It was like on the countryside with you had the Alps. You could see the Alps outside the studio window, and it was really sort of desolate. So we stayed in the studio, and that was good because we kept the creativity in the studio. And we come to the day when we're recording the basics for the final countdown, and I remember Kevin Elson. He wasn't really. He didn't really like the groove, you know. Doom, doom, da, doom, doom,
okay.
Da, doom, doom. He thought it was a bit. I don't know. He didn't like it. He wanted to be doom, da, doom, doom, da, doom, doom, straight.
Yeah.
And we all just went, no fucking way. This is you know, this is the groove.
It's almost got a gallop to it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got that.
Exactly. Yeah. Almost like run to the hills.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. I was going to compare. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was inspired by that rhythm kind of vibe. Anyway, we started like after breakfast around 10 in the morning, and started recording the basics for the final countdown. And for some reason, I just couldn't get it right. You know, it was it just didn't click in. I remember it went on all day. I think we must have taken 25 takes or whatever. You know, it was, and we got to the point where everybody said that, okay, if you don't get it on this take, then we'll wait till tomorrow. We'll just stop. So I just felt the whip on my back, and I was fucking hell. I'm gonna nail it this time. And on the very last take, I did it. So and that was an achievement.
Yeah.
You know, if I stopped for the day without achieving the song, it would have been a mental downset for me. You know, so I conquered my own abilities there, which was good. So
amazing.
But
it's there forever, and that Phil genuinely is. It's there's two in the 80s, and that is one of them, which is quite an achievement, I think. So Yeah. Thank you, Maddie. That's appreciate that. No, it's fine.
Yeah. So we also recorded "Rock the Night" already in 1985, before the final countdown.
Oh, right. Okay. I didn't realize.
Yeah. So it was released as a single only in Sweden, and it was really successful. I remember the first version we got, or like the first pressing that came from the pressing plant, and we were on tour, and we got the single to the tour bus. And so we went to like a local record store where they had a vinyl player, and we put it on the 45, and it sounded like Donald Duck. It was like twice as fast, and we said, "Something wrong with your vinyl player?" No. And he played another record, it sounded perfect. And back on with the Rock the Night, and it sounded like Donald Duck again. And what happened was they fucked up in the at the plant, so they they pressed like 5,000 copies of the Rock the Night single, sounding like Donald Duck. So they had to scrap all that. And then finally they got it right, and it was released, and really successful. And I actually it went to sell gold in Sweden, which was at the time 25,000 units at the time. And I got my first gold record for it even. And they couldn't even get that right, and let me show it to you.
Okay.
This is the gold record.
Right. Very nice looking thing. Yes.
Yeah, and if you can, I don't know if you can read on the placket. It's
just trying to see what it says.
Presented to Ian Haugland.
Oh dear me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they couldn't even fucking spell my name right, and I got kind of upset about that. So I called the record guy up and I said, "You haven't spelled my name. You have to fix this." And so I of course we're gonna fix it. And so I sent the record back, and 2 weeks later I got it back, and it said Ian Haugland again. And that's when I thought, well, what the fuck? That's the way it is,
Oh dear. At least you got the record, I suppose. But a lovely thing to have.
Fun memory, yeah.
Oh, incredible. We move along. I mean, and I think it was Walk the Earth the last album. I can't think.
Yeah,
would have been.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, the band obviously sounds, music's changed. The band sounds a bit more organic. Some great drum sounds on that. But I hear when I hear that, I just hear so much influence by. I don't know if you'll agree. I hear a lot of Rainbow and stuff in there, real classic rock. I don't know if is that a fair comparison, maybe, or of influences.
I think it's spot on. It's absolutely right, because back in the 80s, if someone pointed out that, well, he plays a little bit like Gary Moore on the guitar, and the drummer plays a little bit like whoever Cozy Powell. It was almost like you were insulted, because you wanted to be your own and have your own style, and over the years I think we grown to be proud of our inspirers, and being proud of being compared with the gods of rock and roll. So I think we're embracing the fact that we sound a bit like Deep Purple and Rainbow and UFO with Thin Lizzy and all that. It's more of an honor, I think, and I think we let down the guard and just go for it, have fun. And when we recorded that album in at the Abbey Road Studios, it was in Studio 3, the same studio where Pink Floyd did the Wish You Were Here and Dark Side of the Moon albums, and well, everybody's been there. So it was like going into a church. It was it was the cradle of rock and roll to be there, and to just the walls were just like soaked by rock and roll history, and I think that it did something to us. It made us humble, and it made us happy, and just realizing how lucky we are to be still here after now 40 years, and I think it made us humble, I think, is a good word, and that combined with years of gaining experience as musicians and stuff, I think that made it it was a very pleasant recording session. And also working with Dave Cobb, the producer, he has the way of getting the best out of you and making you relax. He's very he's got a great sense for, I don't know why, it's like he knows how the song is going to turn out before the song is even written. He has that ability,
and it has it has almost a vintage sound to it, the production, and it's warmer. I think, is that the way to describe it? Warmer than previous recording. Less click on the bass drum, just warm, organic sounds. You know, like they were in the 70s. Really, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's Dave Cobb's trademark. He loves the old the vintage sound, and that's why he was like he was in seventh heaven when we were at the Abbey Road studios, you know, and he being totally into the technical side and the mix, you know, like the mixing desks and microphones and everything. He got to use everything that, you know, we at one point we had the old like 4 8-channel mixing console that the Beatles used, like with a gray metal kind of like a big lump of gray metal with 2 or 3 meters on it, and you know, these big instead of like you know, like look like something from a power plant or something. That mixing console we used to take, you know, to run the microphones through the preamps and the EQs, and so he was like, you know, Dave was sitting there with the hard on throughout the whole recording session, because this was pornographic for him, and that, I think that gave the sound that vintage touch, the softness but still powerful, and it's so warm and so cozy. You just want to snug in with a vinyl album when you go to bed, you know. This is like a cuddly, you know, like a teddy bear. It's great.
Oh, I'm glad you agree with me. That's good, because that's always been my thought of that. It's just a nice, you know, it's just a great album, full stop. And so, you've got some dates coming up with Whitesnake and Foreigner, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
That's going to be a fun tour, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this tour obviously was planned to happen in 2020. So it's been pushed up till now. So it's been a long time coming, and we're really thrilled to go out with the guys again. And we toured with the Whitesnake before, and also Foreigner actually. So it's going to be a little family reunion thing. And
it should be a good drummer hang with Tommy and Chris Frazier. Anyway, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah. I've met and talked to Tommy a couple of times before, and he's a cool guy. I mean, he's one of the guys up there as well, you know. Maybe a little bit too much in my personal taste. He was always a bit more metal, maybe a bit more that kind of style. He's one of the best in that sense, but he was never like a big influence on me. But very nice guy, and I love the guy. So that's going to be great.
Yeah, well, I was lucky enough to have Tommy on here, so he was very kind, and so
well, and he's been around for ages.
He has, you know, he's got an amazing story, and so is it a full European tour, Ian? I can't remember.
Yeah. It starts off May 10th in Dublin, and then we go through UK, and the last UK show is May 25th in Cardiff. And then after that we go over to Europe, and we do some all the countries through Europe basically, and the whole tour ends up June 28th.
Brilliant.
So it's gonna it's about 20 shows, I think, altogether.
Something you're looking forward to?
Absolutely. It's, but you know, it almost feels like it's you haven't been in that frame of mind, touring mind, for so long that it's like, okay, how do you do this? Okay, you need a passport, you need an extra pair of underwear, you need all the stuff. A pair of sticks. So it's like learning to walk again. But of course, it's wonderful. It's like I mean, that's where I found my purpose in music already back in 1976 at the concert house in Stockholm, watching Cozy Powell blast away on the drums, and it has been my purpose all the time through. So it's like go on tour is like meeting yourself and being what you are here to do, sort of. Yeah,
amazing.
So
I think that is a perfect place to round it up. Ian, thanks so much.
Yeah.
It's been a real pleasure talking to you. It really has.
Yeah,
I appreciate
likewise,
it.
Matty. Thank you very much for having me, Matty. It's been great.
Pleasure's been all mine, and all the best for the future. Have a very successful tour. I'm hoping to get along to Manchester if the stars align. So fingers crossed. Anyway, so
absolutely. I hope
great stuff. Thanks, Ian. Take care now.
You.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.